all, welcome to the channel DEVOPS-TECHSTACK. I hope you all are doing safe and sound. So today we will start with a day 4 of the Kubernetes series. But before getting started with that, let's quickly discuss what we have discussed so far. Okay. So we started with the concept of what is Kubernetes, and then with the typical metro train example, we quickly discussed about the two components of the Kubernetes, that is control plane and the worker site. Okay. Apart from that, we discussed all the components that are available in entire Kubernetes, like the control plane components, that is etcd, kubescheduler, then various type of controller managers available in Kubernetes. Then we discussed about the kube API server, which is the heart of the entire Kubernetes cluster. Apart from that, we discussed about the container runtime engine. Then we discussed about the kubelet agent. And then finally, we discussed about the kube proxy concept in the Kubernetes. Okay. Then we discussed about the Kubernetes architecture diagram. This is very important and you need to learn it. Like what is the architecture for the entire Kubernetes? What is the master nodes? What all components are deployed on the worker nodes? These things we have discussed in much detail in our day 1 video of the Kubernetes. Then in day 2 and day 3, we discussed about these components in much detail. Like we discussed about the etcd, how you can deploy etcd in the hard way and in the kubedium way. These things we have discussed. Apart from that, we discussed how you can set up the etcd in a high HA environment. Apart from that, we discussed the Kube API server. Here also, I have explained the entire flow of the Kubernetes, like how you can deploy a simple pod, what is the flow it follow when user is trying to deploy an application inside the Kubernetes cluster. Then we discussed about the same thing, like how you can deploy the Kube API server, or how you can install the Kube API server onto the hardware of Kubernetes cluster, or using the Kubedium way, how these components are installed. Then we discussed about the kube proxy, how the pod to pod communication happens, how these firewall rules are created. Do you need to manage anything or Kubernetes itself manage everything? These things we have discussed much detail in our previous videos. Okay. Apart from that, we again discussed how you can deploy the kube proxy onto your worker nodes. Then we discussed what is kubelet agent, why it is important, and what role it plays while you are trying to deploy a pod inside your Kubernetes cluster. Then we discussed how you are going to deploy this kubelet. Then we discussed about what is kubescheduler, what is the role of kubescheduler, how you are going to install this particular kubescheduler onto your control plane. Then how kubescheduler decide on which particular worker node your pod should be deployed. So the basis of two methods, that is the filter node and rank node. These things we have discussed on our last lecture. Okay. Apart from that, we discussed about the various type of kube controller manager available in Kubernetes. Okay, like node controller, replication controller, service account controller. Okay, and where are these configuration placed? These things also we have discussed. Okay, then the idea for the today video is how you are going to set up a simple Kubernetes cluster to get started with these concepts. Okay, we want to do practical, right? So how you are going to do these practicals? There are multiple ways to set up a Kubernetes cluster, but all the ways we will go slowly. Not in the first lectures or first 10 lectures, we will go slow. Then we will start with the advanced way of setting up the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so there are multiple ways by which you can set up a Kubernetes cluster. Even if you are using a low configuration system, or you are using Windows, Mac, or Linux, anything, whatever you are using, you can easily create a Kubernetes cluster over there to get started with the Kubernetes. There is not much difference in what we do in our job also. These things are, the concept is almost similar, so you don't need to worry on that side. So first, to get started with this, we will start with the simple configurations, where we will deploy all our configurations, all the practical implementations we will do there, and slowly we will increase our level. Okay. So the first way to set up the Kubernetes cluster is a very simple Minikube. Okay. So Minikube is just a lightweight Kubernetes distribution that runs on a single node cluster inside a VM on your local machine. Okay. Let's say you have a Windows machine like this. Okay. Here, if you want to create a Kubernetes cluster, then you can use a tool called as Minikube. And Minikube, once you install the Minikube on your local machine, then it will create a VM And inside that VM, it will create a single node Kubernetes cluster. This you can understand for now. Okay. You just have a simple Windows machine. On top of that, you installed a Minikube tool. It will launch a lightweight VM, and inside that VM, it will create a single node, means single server Kubernetes cluster. That's it. Okay. The next is kind cluster. What is kind? Kind is Kubernetes in Docker. What is Kubernetes in Docker? Means Docker means what? It is running containers, right? So Kubernetes is running inside the container. Means your nodes are running inside the container. So it is very lightweight. So kind uses Docker containers to run your Kubernetes nodes. So it is very lightweight, right? Because your nodes are running on top as a form of container, and containers are very lightweight. So all kind of practicals, whatever we do in our job or whatever we will try to do over here, everything can be done on the kind cluster. Some configurations might be here and there, which we need to tweak those configurations, but everything we can do on the kind cluster. So I prefer to do all the practicals on the kind instead of main queue. But both ways you can do it, right? So it is very fast because containers are lightweight. It will be easily spin up all the containers. You can easily destroy the containers and your kind cluster will be deleted. Everything will be very quick, lightweight and efficient. Okay. Can simulate multi-node clusters on a single machine. Okay. Because it is a very lightweight, at least if you want, you can run 10 containers, and inside that 10 containers you have 10 running nodes, and your machine configuration must be very slow, still it will work and give you an efficient result. So all the practical implementations related to the node affinity, change and tolerations, everything we can do on the kind cluster, because we will be easily able to create a multi-node cluster using the kind. Okay. Once I will install kind, these things will be much clear and I will show you. Okay. The next thing is managed Kubernetes service. What is managed Kubernetes service? Means the Kubernetes cluster which are provided by the cloud providers. Okay. So in case of AWS, you have Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Service, EKS. In case of GCP, you have Google Kubernetes Engine. In case of Azure, you have Azure Kubernetes Service. So what happens with these cloud providers? You are not responsible to manage the control plane side. We have discussed in the architecture diagram, right? We have two sides. One is control plane and the other one is worker nodes. So in case of cloud providers or managed Kubernetes services, you you don't have to worry about the control plane side. That is being managed by the cloud provider itself. You are just responsible on the worker node side where you are going to deploy your applications and users will use those applications. Okay. So later point of video, I will decide which cloud provider I will go and we will quickly create a Kubernetes cluster over there and I will show you how to do the changes over there. So what happens in this case? These services provide fully managed Kubernetes cluster in the cloud. They only handle the underlying infrastructure, scaling of the infrastructure or nodes, maintaining those nodes. You just need to worry on deploying and managing your applications. But if you are going with this way, you will not get that much idea on the Kubernetes side because the major thing on the control plane side are already being handled by the cloud providers. You are not worrying about that part. But using the hard way or using the cube admin setup, what will happen that you will get entire idea of the control plane components and the worker node components as well. So before I will show you the lab for this cloud provider or the managed Kubernetes services, I will explain you how you can set up your Kubernetes using the hard way. But for now, we will start with the kind. Slowly we will go there. Okay. The next thing is how you are going to create a self-managed Kubernetes. Means if you are used on the on-prem, okay, if you have multiple nodes and you want to create your own managed Kubernetes cluster, means you want to manage both the control plane side and the worker node side as well. So in that case, you can go with the Kubernetes hardware or you can go with the tools like kubeadmin or Kubernetes operation, that is kops. So in case of Kubernetes hardware, what happens? You need to set up the Kubernetes from scratch without using any automated tools or scripts. Okay. In case of kubeadmin, it is giving you automatic tools to deploy various kind of components onto your Kubernetes cluster. Like it will install scheduler, it will install controller manager, everything related to the control plane side under the kube system namespace with the kube admin. Okay. But in case of hardware, it will not do anything. You are doing everything from the scratch, and from the Kubernetes binary page or from the Kubernetes release page, you will install the binaries, run those in the form of service inside those control plane components. But if you are going with the kube admin way, those things will be automatically deployed using those tools under the kube system namespace. Okay. So this is basically the difference between the using the Cube admin tool or going with the Kubernetes hardware. So we will go with both the ways slowly. But for now, let's start with the kind cluster setup so that we can start with the practical demos for our whatever the theoretical things we have learned. We will start with the practical implementation of these things. Okay. So in the simple kind cluster setup, we will start with installation of Docker, then we will go with the installation of kubectl, then we will finally install kind. Okay, so how to do these things? I have a simple Ubuntu Linux server, and here I'm going to install the very first thing, that is Docker. So you can just normally go to Docker official website, and there you can see how to install Docker engine on the Ubuntu machine. And here you are getting these commands, right? So you just need to copy these commands and run it one by one. First copy this, and here I just ran this one. Okay, these things, the first command, and after that, what about the second command? Install the Docker package, this command. Okay, just copy this from here, and then you can paste it over here, this one. Okay, these things also I ran. And after that, finally, if you run the command Docker, it will give you the options. So what all options are available with the Docker? Okay, so it is finally installed, right? And if you want to check the version of Docker, then you have this command, Docker hyphen hyphen version. It will show the Docker is installed on your machine with the version this one. Okay. So what is Docker? So Docker is just a container runtime engine which helps you to deploy the containers. Because in the Kubernetes cluster, behind the scene, all the applications are running inside the container only. So you need a Kubernetes runtime engine. For example, we have installed Docker on our machine. Next thing is kubectl. What is kubectl? So kubectl is just a tool through which you can interact with your Kubernetes cluster. The end user can interact with your Kubernetes cluster using the command kubectl. So if the user want to know the all the nodes, what all nodes are available on your Kubernetes cluster, the user can run the command kubectl get nodes to get all the node detail. These things we will slowly get into detail. Okay. So just install kubectl. Again, go to kubectl installation or Ubuntu. Here you can get for all the flavors, the steps and these things. Okay. So we are going with the this one, right? So just copy this command, paste it over here. So finally, this is downloaded. Now we will install it. And once it is installed, then just check the version of this kubectl. If it is installed, you will get the version, and you can see, right? The version is available. Okay. The kubectl is installed on your machine with the version this one. Fine. And then finally, you have to install the kind. So just again go with the kind Ubuntu installation. Okay. Go to the kind official page, and here you can find how to install it on Linux machine. And just paste this command. It will first download, and after that it will install also. Okay. Now try to run kind. See, you can get all the sub commands related to the kind tool. Okay. Now we have installed Docker, kubectl, and kind on our Ubuntu machine. If you are using the MacBook, or if you are using Windows, or you are using Linux machine, you can follow the same steps. The guidelines are mentioned on their official documentation. Just copy those commands and run into your machine. You are good to go. Okay. After that, we want to create our first Kubernetes cluster, right? So while creating our first Kubernetes cluster, the steps are very easy. You just need to follow this, right? Here, if you see, you have the commands how you are going to create a simple kind cluster. See, if you want to create a kind cluster with a single node, in that case, you can use this command kind create cluster. What is the name of the cluster? Let's say kind 2. You can give any name over here. Just copy this command and just paste it over here. So my cluster name will be DevOps. Enter it. See, so for all the containers and so all the nodes will be running inside the container, right? So for all the node, the image will be 1.33. Means you are going to launch a Kubernetes cluster on the 1.33 version. Okay. So let it do it. Let's do it. So this is completed. Because it is using the 1.33 Kubernetes version, the first time on your machine, this image is getting downloaded. So it took some time, but from next time, it will be very quick till the time you are not going to delete these image manually from your machine. Okay. After that, it prepared the node, it started the control plane, it installed all the network plugins, it installed the storage class, everything is done. Okay. And this way, your first Kubernetes cluster is prepared with the single node. How to see how many nodes are deployed on this particular Kubernetes cluster? Just hit the command kubectl get nodes. And you will see that only one node is available on your machine. But what if you want to create a multi-node cluster? Since it is running on a container, it is very lightweight. I want to deploy multiple nodes on this cluster. So before going into that, let's try to delete this particular cluster. Okay, how to delete it? Again, you just write the command kind delete cluster. I don't know. I think name we have to pass or directly we can pass. Okay, no. Just put hyphen hyphen name flag. Then it should be okay. Yeah, now it works, right? So this happened. Now we want to create a multi-node cluster. So you can just create one YAML file. Okay, multinode.yaml. And what will be the configuration of this multi-node YAML file? You can go over here. You just refer this official documentation for the kind, and here you can get all the details. So the very first thing in this configuration is the type, what you are going to create. The type, what we are going to create is cluster. We want to create a kind cluster. Then what is the API version for this kind cluster? This is the API version. Okay. Whatever the components also you will deploy in the Kubernetes, everything will have a API version to create that particular component. Okay. So for to create a kind cluster, this is the API version which you need to use. Then you have to specify what all nodes you are going to create inside this Kubernetes cluster. So I am going to create a 3 node cluster, out of which one node will be control plane, the other one will be worker nodes, and all are in the form of key value pair. What is key? Key is role, value is control plane. Again, what is key? Key is kind, value is cluster. So just copy this particular command and paste it over here. Just save this particular file. So now you just created a multi-node YAML file with this particular configuration. Now you want to create a kind cluster with this particular configuration. So how you are going to create it? So you have to use the kind tool, means kind command, and then you have to use the command create cluster, again the same thing. But in this case, in place of hyphen hyphen name flag, you have to pass hyphen hyphen config and then the YAML file name. Okay. So just copy this command. Command is almost same. In just place of hyphen hyphen name flag, you are going to pass hyphen hyphen config and then the config file name. Okay. See, this time it is not downloading the image. It is already available, the same image, right? So it is not downloading it. It is just preparing the nodes. Again, the nodes are running inside the container. So it was very quick and it just prepared all the 3 nodes within a second. Okay. After that, it is starting the control plane, right? We have seen this here also. So just wait for a while. See again now, till now, so now you can here see, like if you want to deploy a control plane in the HA mode, then you can have multiple control plane nodes. Okay. These things also we can do it. These things I will slowly explain how to do these mapping ports and these things when we will deploy the services and these concepts once we will learn. Then in case of kind, the configurations are a bit different that you have to learn. So it is very easy. We will discuss it slowly. Okay. So your kind cluster is done. Again, see what all nodes are available. You will see that three nodes are available in your environment. And these are for now in not ready state. We will wait for some time. It will be in the ready state. See, control plane is now in the ready state. Just wait for a while and it will be done. So till now, if you have any doubt, do let me know and try to set up a simple Kubernetes cluster using kind onto your machine so that from the next lecture onwards, you can easily follow those lectures and you can practice in your machine also. Because hands-on is must. Without that, even if I tell you the theoretical parts, nothing is going to happen. So you just have to do more and more practicals. That is only going to help you. So from the next lectures, it will be more practical kind of things. So be ready with a simple Kubernetes cluster so that you can do it from your side also. If you have some doubt related to the setup of this Kubernetes cluster, do let me know in the comment section. So in the next video, I will try to clear that doubt first and then I will start with the practicals. Okay. So stay tuned for the more informative videos. Keep subscribing to the DevOps Tech Stack channel. Thank you.